Clueless Sophomores, and in today's video, we will be introducing to you DSLR cameras. These are cameras that revolutionize the industry behind photography. So, we'll be diving into its history, the original founder, and the importance of mirrors in these cameras. Let's dive in!
What are DSLR cameras? DSLR cameras are photographic devices that uses a mirror and a prism system that reflects light from the lenses into the viewfinder. This solves the main problem in SLR cameras.
Previously, SLR cameras printed the results on a film, so you couldn't really see the result of the photo, whether it was good or bad, without wasting an expensive film. And that meant that if you had a really bad picture, you wouldn't really know. Now DSLR cameras fix this issue by swapping to a digital sensor and adding a screen where you can view the photo itself that you took. And so if the photo was bad, they'd just delete it and take another.
Another major issue was the fact that the films are very expensive. A high-quality film would cost around $30 to $100. This discouraged photographers from taking experimental or risky shots. To solve this problem, DSLR cameras had memory cards. After you bought it, every shot was basically free. You could experiment with photos and take risky shots. After that, you can simply choose to keep the good photos or delete the rest.
The prototype was invented by Steve Sasson in 1975. It weighed 8 pounds and was the size of a toaster. It took a 0.01 megapixel black and white photo and saved it on a cassette tape. Sure, it might not sound impressive, but it proved the technology was real and digital films were possible.
The first true DSLR camera was invented by Sasson and Robert Hale in 1989. The team-up resulted in the Kodak D5000, which was an SLR camera body with a 1.3 megapixel CCD sensor. Photos were then stored on an SRAM card, making it fully digital. Then, the first commercially available DSLR camera was the Kodak DCS-100. It had a modified Nikon F3 body with a Kodak digital back, 1.3 megapixel sensor. Then, the camera was connected to a DSU which stored the images. When the light enters the lens, it will pass through the many lenses before hitting the main mirror, which is sitting at a 45-degree angle. The main mirror reflects light upwards to the pentaprism, allowing the photographers to look at the optical viewfinder and see what the lenses see in real time. When taking a picture, the mirror will slide out of the way to allow the light to reach the image sensor. This is why when a DSLR camera takes a picture, the viewfinder can go black for a second. Oh my god, I'm gonna kill it. Then there is a secondary mirror behind the main mirror, which is semi-transparent and functions to reflect the light to a focus detection sensor, allowing quick focus. And lastly, the pentaprism mirror merely exists to reflect light 3 times, so that when it hits the viewfinder, the image will look upright and correct. It's solid, so 100% of the light is reflected, and it allows for sharp images.
As you know, one of the most important components of a DSLR camera is a mirror. So who actually invented it?
Now we are going to talk about the inventor of modern mirrors, which is Justus von Liebig.
wonder, DSLR cameras use something called mirrors, but what actually is a mirror? Well, you're looking at one right now.
So what actually makes up a mirror? Natural mirrors have existed since prehistoric times, such as in the case of water. And humans have been manufacturing mirrors for thousands of years, whether it be made out of stone, metals, or glass. However, after Justus von Liebig's discovery, modern mirrors have since been made out of three very simple components.
Now, first is the reflective layer, which actually reflects the light itself. It is a microscopically thin coat of metal like aluminum or silver. While any polished metal can technically reflect light, silver and aluminum are specifically chosen for their certain properties. Now, silver, with the chemical symbol of Ag, is historically the favorite material for high-quality mirrors, reflecting about 95% to 99% of visible light spectrum. It provides a close-to-perfect reflection, but it is more expensive and more prone to oxidizing if exposed to air. And aluminum, on the other hand, with the chemical symbol of Al, it is the modern, more cost-effective alternative. It reflects a decent amount of 88% to 92% of the visible light spectrum. While not certainly reflecting as perfect as silver, it bonds really well to glass, and so it is more resistant to corrosion. So, how do these metals reflect light? Silver and aluminum's atomic structures have high density of delocalized electrons that oscillate in response to incoming light. Now, it allows it to reflect the light before the light rays are absorbed themselves. To put it simply, these materials have free electrons that aren't bound to specific atoms, and so when light or photons hit these electrons, they will vibrate and re-emit the light at the same angle it arrived at, which causes a reflection you see on a mirror.
So what does glass with the element symbol of SiO2 do? Well, if a mirror were to be a single thin sheet of metal, it will crinkle, tarnish, and lose its shape instantly. To get a true image, the reflective surface must be perfectly flat. The glass pushes the thin metal foil into a stable, smooth surface with a metal on the back of the glass. The glass also protects the very delicate metal sheets from scratches, dust, and fingers. Glass is used specifically due to its property of being transparent, allowing light to pass through the metal layer with no distortion. As its electrons require more energy to be excited to a higher state than visible light photon possess, and pure silica does not have free electrons, which prevents it from absorbing light. The third component is not as visible or known, but it's just as important as the final layer of defense, particularly in silver mirrors. In many silver mirrors, a thin layer of copper is applied over the silver to prevent it from reacting with chemicals of the paint added to the top, which is to prevent the silver from reacting with silver in the air and developing black spots like those seen in an old mirror.
The most iconic method of producing a mirror is by the silvering method. Unlike modern aluminum mirrors, which use vacuum deposition, which is vaporizing metal in a vacuum, traditional high-quality mirrors are made using a wet chemical reaction, known as the Tollens test.
Yes.
The Tollens test chemical reaction is done to reduce silver ions in a solution with the formula of Ag plus into a solid metallic silver, or Ag0, that bonds to the glass surface. The reaction uses the Tollens reagent, which is an aqueous solution of the silver nitrate, or AgNO3, mixed with ammonia, or NH3. This creates a complex called the diamine silver 1 ion, which you can see the formula for here. And a reducing agent is then used, usually a sugar like glucose or C6H12O6 is added to the reagent, and the silver ions are then reduced to metallic silver solid, which then sticks to the glass. This reaction uses a formula which can be seen.
However, creating a mirror isn't just about the chemical reaction. There is also a step-by-step process involved in silvering. Glass is naturally hydrophobic. Silver often doesn't want to grip it. To fix this, the glass is treated with stannous chloride, aka SnCl2. The tin ions prime the glass surface, acting as a molecular glue. The Tollens reagent and the reducing agent, which are glucose, are then sprayed and poured simultaneously onto the glass. As the reaction occurs, the silver atoms grow in a continuous microscopic film across the entire surface, rather than forming random plugs. The leftover liquid, which are mostly unreacted chemicals and sugar byproducts, is washed away with deionized water, leaving behind a layer of pure silver only a few atoms thick. See ya.